really have a mental health epidemic in the country. That right there is what we've really and truly got going on here. And we've also got a lot of shame in the nation. So we're going to be talking a lot about in this video. So make sure you guys stick around for the full video. Also, this right here is for the YouTube algorithm. In no way, shape, or form am I condemning anybody or a certain lifestyle. I'm just pointing out what is. So I just figured I'd go ahead and say that before we get started.
Misconception that people have is that he's gay.
I was very apprehensive.
Right.
I didn't know that he was open to having a relationship with a trans girl.
I'm Jesse, and this is my partner Cassidy, who's a trans woman.
Jesse and I.
You're gay. No beef. You are a gay man. There's nothing wrong with that. I really don't care if you're gay. You live your life.
Before we get started on this topic, I want to go ahead and say this right now. Due to YouTube's, let's just say, change in the algorithm and YouTube's change in the community guideline standards because they actually laxed it in 2023, I'm going to be leaving this video here in the description box from Jeremy the Quartering because he actually explains this a lot better than I ever could. Obviously, because it is an election year, certain topics are going to be, let's just say, a persona non grata here on the platform. So there will be a much, let's just say, a rawer cut of this video coming out on my, I'm just scrolling the name because even if you say it out loud, then yes, YouTube will also find a way to dox you as well or bring your views down. Now, the month of January is normally pretty light for me. It's ever since, I'd say, 2021, 2022, 2023. It's just never been a good month for me, at least on this platform, the 3 years that I've been here. But still, though, at the same time, like I've always said, chin down, hands up, improvise, adapt, overcome, and keep going. Also, not to mention the fact that YouTube also removed 4 of my videos and put in a BS copyright claim on another one of a video that had been up for over a month for whatever reason, but still, here we are having this conversation. Now, I do expect this video to get the yellow dollar sign, and I expect very, very limited ad revenue. However, we need to revisit the topic of are you gay if you see a trans woman? Now, obviously, you guys saw the very beginning little montage there. And you had Tim Pool basically come out and say exactly what I've always felt when this topic comes up. As a matter of fact, I did a video a while back on a girl, or let's just say a T-girl, who claimed that they would not tell the guy that they were dating until about roughly date number 2 or 3 that they were actually T, or of the T persuasion. There's also another content creator on the platform, long before people started attacking him, by the name of Think Before You Sleep. I'll try to leave this video here in the description box as well, who actually covered in depth why it is that a lot of men are being bullied into seeing the T. Sounds to me like maybe what's going on is once again a feminization of men in society, but when I hear this supposed alpha Chad say this here,
Supposed to be with, and if you're with anybody else, you're going to be out of this household and out of this family. Masculine family, very toxic masculinity household.
it seems to me like obviously, yeah, somebody's trying to feminize men. So on the surface, you might think that this guy may have actually been bullied into this. I don't think that was the case. However, the conversation that we're having is not so much over the fact that is it or are you gay if you are involved with someone who is a T. I think that the real conversation we should be having is there some level of shame involved? Now, this video right here, I'm going to try to make as brief and as concise as possible. I wanted to make it more essay form, but this video, seeing how it is, that this particular post that came from a channel called Love Does Not Judge, or a segment called Love Does Not Judge, yeah, it suddenly went viral here recently, and now the conversation has come back up. Now, in the previous video that I did on this topic, this was back during the summer, I brought up the example of Blair White and Blair White's boyfriend on this topic. Let me go ahead and kind of rerun this for you guys.
Incredibly long and sounds gross, which is why people don't use it. The word is gynandromorphophilic, which sounds like you have some kind of disease.
Oh, yeah.
Which is, so clearly people aren't going to use that word ever. In the trans community, I feel like it's really foul because people tend to call people like you
So for all intents and purposes, obviously the easiest word to describe my sexuality is...
You know, guys, this right here kind of feels like maybe there's a level of copium here about this situation. It kind of reminds me of that episode of South Park where the boys went back to school. I think it was the 4th grade years, and they found out that Mr. Garrison was not going to be their teacher that semester. I mean, it kind of Yeah. That's the level of cope that we're dealing with here. Just go ahead and admit it, man. You're gay.
Emotional issues. He was a closet homosexual who hated gay people. Whenever someone asked him if he was gay, he'd go nuts.
So to me, it's not a question of whether a person is or not. It's pretty obvious that this person is. And there are also a lot of studies that are coming out that kind of suggest that what's going on is that a lot of these men who date the T's are actually attracted to much, much more masculine features. Now, Tim Pool is a guy who from time to time I will put in some of these videos takes where I think he may have gotten it correct or I may expand upon, but also at the exact same time, takes that he does get it wrong, I do call him out and criticize him on, but still at the same time, I think he made some extremely good points for this little segment that I'm about to show you guys, and I'll come back on the other end and expand a little bit further. Now, you're obviously seeing some of the stuff in the B-roll footage. I tried to cut stuff like, say, hand-holding, kissing, things like that right there, because even this channel right here may get in trouble just for showing that type of stuff there. But still, the thing is this right here. If you actually listen to what was actually said in the video, which I'll play for you guys more in the next segment of the video, you will see that obviously there were a lot of factors that went to this guy's decision-making, which of course are factors of which if I was a parent, I would definitely be concerned about. But still, at the exact same time, the mere fact that this guy chose to use the term toxic masculinity tells me that he's not the alpha Chad that he says he is. And of course, he's also been feminized. Now, let me go ahead and say this really quick, all right? I am not somebody who is in the red pill community or red pill adjacent or anything like that. I think if you have to tell people that you are an alpha male, chances are you are not an alpha at all. I don't even know where the hell the term Sigma male came up from, but I want to go ahead and say that before we get to the next segment, roughly 2 minutes. Let's go ahead and roll it, and then let's go ahead and continue on.
There's something called like testosterone immunity or something like that, where someone is completely biologically male, but testosterone has no impact on them. So they end up appearing female, developing like they're female, but they have underdeveloped testes instead of ovaries. Those things all happen. However, outside of all of that, 98.7% or something of people fall into overtly distinct categories of either male or female. This individual who is trans, what you need to understand is going to have a bunch of characteristics that are male and that this gay man here is attracted to. Like, what is it? Was it female belly buttons or below the hip line, male belly buttons? Male center of gravity is higher than female center of gravity. These are just obvious things based on muscle mass. Males, trans or otherwise, have more skin collagen, have more muscle mass, have more bone density. Now, those things can be affected by taking hormone replacement therapy, but still, this guy is attracted to the masculine end of the spectrum and is in a relationship with someone who is biologically male. That's it. I think the interesting thing about this is there are so many men, like dudes, like this guy, who refuse to say they're gay. And I think it's based on shame. This guy says it outright. He says that he grew up in a family that told him, here's who you got to be with, and if you're not, you're out. Conservative upbringing. So why does he say he's not gay? Because he feels shame. He feels shame. Whatever, man. I don't know. I'm not going to tell you what to feel. You live your life. You do what you want to do. But admit who you are. Look, I got a lot of friends who are gay. And they're out of the closet. They're public. They do their thing. And it's like, okay, well, congratulations, I suppose. I don't care one way or the other. You do you, I'll do me. I think there is a question that needs to be asked about how far live and let live can go. But I'm still more on the libertarian side of things for, these people. It's like if you are gay and you want to be with someone, I don't care. There are questions, though, about surrogacy, about raising kids, questions that I do not have the scientific knowledge, cultural knowledge, nor legal expertise to be able to answer for you.
Well, there's something I do got to agree with Tim about, and I do, in fact, think that it is shame. Now, guys, I'm going to play a little bit more from the previous video, of course, that we're mostly looking at. I'm going to play a little bit more of it so that way you guys can kind of give an idea of exactly the narrative that is being thrown at people. So let's go ahead and get to that, and then we'll go ahead and explain just a little bit further.
Natural woman is who you're supposed to be with, and that's it. And if you're with anybody else, if you're gay, if you're ever with a trans girl, you're going to be out of this household and out of this family. My friends and family, at first, they were shocked because the alpha masculine tatted up male is now...
All my transgressions went out the window. Yeah. And I realized it doesn't matter to me It's what makes Jesse happy.
I really appreciate you, Jordan, for seeing me as I am and not what other people say about me and what other people project onto me.
Like I said, Jesse's happiness is what matters to me.
Awesome, Jordan. You're the best.
Hey, brother, I appreciate you. You know, I love you since day one. And ain't nothing ever gonna change over here.
No doubt, bro. I love you too.
Bye-bye.
Parents are concerned. Parents are obviously let you know, hey, look, you know, it needs to be a natural woman that you're seeing. Of course, there are a lot of people out there who are automatically going to jump to the conclusion that the T in this situation did not bully the man into it. I personally, I wouldn't say I fully believe the guy, but I do believe that there's probably something inside him that probably told him to go ahead and start seeing said individual. As Tim said earlier in the video, I'm going to go ahead and say it one more time. I think this guy is just a straight up homosexual. I think he's gay. And of course, I'm not beating him up for it. I mean, I already know the YouTube algorithm is going to beat me up for this video. I'm not beating the guy up for that. However, it does come down to some level of shame. Now, this right here goes back to the gender dysphoria topic. Now, I'm posting right now a photo here, a map that was done. Of course, it was a study that was picked up by Axios. And of course, it breaks down by state exactly the areas where gender dysphoria is getting reported the most. It's very possible this person may have had this and maybe they did not, how do I say, diagnose this early on. But of course, the alpha Chad may have grown out of it. Maybe the alpha Chad was actually covering something. I'm only calling him alpha Chad because, quite frankly, it's kind of a joke that this guy would even call himself an alpha Chad. I mean, I know it sounds kind of I know it sounds kind of weird the way I'm describing him, but I'm not seeing an alpha Chad here. What I'm seeing is I'm seeing a guy who's been masking something his entire life, and obviously he has found a way to mask it even further. Let's think about this really quick. Let's go back to gender terms. And of course, there's going to be a legal thing here, and obviously we're going to have to get to that in a second too. But let's go over one thing really quick. One of the things that's really bothered me, and I used to make fun of the, let's just say, the alphabet mafia for this because they would always come up with some form of gender term. They claimed that gender was a social construct. They would also come up with terms like, say, pansexual, what was else? Chromosexual was something that Trevor Noah came up with. But all these terms that said sexual, they came up with a lot of them. Next thing you know, LGBTQ turned into LGBTQ, LMINOP, whatever letter word you are. And of course, we used to run the gag that obviously this is just another form of queer that these people are coming up with. Well, this right here to me almost ensures that this right here is exactly what's going on. It seems to me like this right here is a mask for it. They don't want to go ahead and just go ahead and come on out and say that they're actually homosexual or that they're gay. They just don't want to go ahead and come on out with it. They want to just go ahead and come on with something else. Now, it's very possible this guy right here could just be good old-fashioned bi, but still at the same time, I tend to lean towards him just straight up being gay. Now, maybe I'm just a little bit too old-fashioned, but I think if you have to have a word that's like 13 or 14 letters in it to kind of explain what it is this said person is, chances are it's something that somebody came up with just on the fly. I don't think there was a whole lot of thought process in there. So when I see White's boyfriend, who clearly looks effeminate, try to tell me that he's straight with the rainbow letters there, I automatically want to laugh and chuckle. I automatically just want to just bust out laughing because obviously it's a joke. But I think there may be something else, of course, at play here. Pay very close attention.
A few years ago, the purpose of changing the definition of woman, what is it? You can change the law without a vote. These people that say are all about democracy, they don't even give you that much. So right now, if you look at a lot of laws, it'll say men or woman, male or female, but often men or woman, man or woman. In fact, they're even trying to change the definition of female because this will change the law. So in the law, let's say it says something like you cannot discriminate against a person based on being male or female, on their sex or gender, because gender was used to describe biological sex. They changed the definition of the word gender. And what do you get? Supreme Court rules gender identity is now a protected class. Citizens of the United States to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or any state on account of sex. Congress shall have the power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation. Now, what they're doing is they're arguing that a trans person's sex is... So this is how it starts. They first would say something like, we're talking about gender, not sex, and gender is a social construct. But now we're to the point where they're actually arguing to change the biological sex on a birth certificate. This is the point. It now means that males can be granted protections that females are normally entitled to, because men and women are different, so long as they claim to be female. That is, there has already been court rulings on, right, so bars do ladies' night. That's actually illegal under the Civil Rights Act. It's sexual discrimination.
This is basically one of the ways that these people want to go out of their way to change the legal definition of man and a woman. Now, what is a woman? Well, a woman is an adult human female. That right there is the typical term that you normally use. I think it's actually the best term, and there's also biblical terms that you can use. The thing is this right here, regardless of whether gender dysphoria is going up or not, I think that these men who are trying to say that they are not gay, yet they're seeing a trans, are trying to convince themselves this person is an actual natural. I think that these men are actually finding themselves attracted to much, much more masculine features that some of these people do in fact have, even though this T does not look like this person has any real masculine features at all. But still at the same time, though, I think that you're joking with yourself when you actually tell yourself that you're straight for this. I don't know exactly how far we got to go down the rabbit hole for this, but the fact of the matter is this right here. You're seeing a M. You're not seeing a W. You're seeing an M. Of course, I've got to say it that way because of YouTube's algorithm. Like I said before, there's a reason why it is that I left the Jeremy the Quartering video in the description box for you guys to explain exactly what's going to be happening here. And as a matter of fact, I personally believe that this video right here is probably going to receive the yellow dollar sign, which I'm okay with because, you know, the next video is not going to have any type of language like this. And of course, the videos over the weekend are going to be a little bit more straightforward without any type of terms that are going to get me in trouble. But the thing is this right here. This guy right here, as much as he claims he's an alpha Chad, he's not an alpha Chad. First of all, if you were an alpha Chad, you wouldn't need to tell us that you're an alpha Chad. Second of all, if you were an alpha Chad, you wouldn't need to use terms like toxic masculinity or I grew up in a household full of toxic masculinity. You just wouldn't need to do that. This right here is him just simply coping with the fact that he is, in fact, somebody who is not straight. This right here is just this guy just straight up coping. Now, you could probably argue that the guy's build, the guy's tattoo, may be masking something else as well. I'm not going to go in that direction because obviously I'm a guy who works out. I'm a guy who lifts weights. I don't have the body this guy here does. As a matter of fact, I don't desire a six-pack. I just desire a nice, strong core, nice, strong legs, bottom, chest, shoulders, and whatnot, because I think that having a six-pack is a little bit too much work. Also, not to mention to the ladies out there, I would prefer to give you girls something to lay on. I understand that only about maybe 2% of you guys watch the channel, but still at the same time, I would prefer to allow you girls to lay on my belly. I do have a bit of a belly because it's soft. It's like a pillow. I actually prefer you to do that. I mean, you want to run your... I mean, I'm not going to go too far into that. I'm just simply saying that I prefer to give you something to lay on. Just the way that it is. Now, then comes the question, these guys who go out of their way to get ripped and roided, are they trying to overcompensate for something? We'll probably touch on that in another video, but right now I want to kind of keep it simple. And I know it's probably gotten a little bit, let's just say it's not as simple as I wanted to keep it, but it seems to me like the jury is pretty much out. This guy right here who tells us he's an alpha, this guy right here who tells us that he's tatted up, and of course at the same time he comes from this environment of toxic masculinity, and his friends are, his friends are shocked, even though it's pretty obvious with the phone call that he's got to go to somebody to help him cope. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't be surprised if that right there is not the only friend who's actually okay with that, and it's pretty obvious seeing how it was something that was done and posted on YouTube by a much, much larger YouTube channel. It is very possible that he may have actually been paid to do so. I don't want to get completely conspiratorial here, but it definitely seems that way in this circumstance. Now, was this guy bullied into this relationship? I don't think that this guy was. I think that this guy, simply put, is a man who, quite frankly, is trying to cope with the fact that he is actually secretly a gay man, and he's just coming up with another term, or therefore he's trying to tell himself that he's not gay when in reality he obviously is. So my conclusion here, after going on for about 20 minutes or so, rambling on for 20 minutes or so, is that this guy right here is not straight. The term that White's boyfriend wants to use obviously does not apply here and probably shouldn't apply here because, quite frankly, it's just a dumb term that I think is being used to help these people cope with the fact that they're gay. And look, of course, I don't condone that lifestyle, but then again, at the same time, I do have people who I know who watch this channel who are LGBTQ, and I quite frankly don't care what it is that you do behind closed doors. I'm not okay with your right to marry, but I do think it is a states' rights issue, and I definitely am not okay with you being able to adopt kids. I think that there's a big reason why we've got this situation going on in the classrooms, or we did the past year. It's no wonder that a bill like the Parental Rights Act needed to be signed. I understand this entire thing is turning into a bit of a rant or a ramble, but the fact of the matter is that this right here is what the hell is actually causing the full degradation of what the hell is going on in our society. So don't worry, there will in fact be an uncut video or uncut version of this video posted to Rumble probably this weekend. But I need to go ahead and say one last thing. I think that the sooner that we get to these people who are trying to come up with these gender terms and actually go through the process of actually helping these people, because we actually have a mental health crisis in this country, I think the sooner that we can actually get to these people, I think the better it would be to help these people cope and possibly give these people some spiritual guidance. And of course, with that right there also being said, also be able to keep them from entering that statistic that I have to bring up from time to time anytime we talk about a certain community. I just figure I would go ahead and say that before I end the video. So guys, tell me what you think in the comment section. Please hit the like button, subscribe, share the video, sound off in the comment section, and I'll see you guys later.